In the name of God, Creator, Redeemer, and Sanctifier. Our gospel this morning sets us in the time of the Last Supper. Disciples have been fed, feet have been washed. The betrayer has left. It is night, dark. And Jesus announces he is leaving. The one for whom they left everything now says he is leaving. We do not know where you are going. How can we know the way? Certainly we know there are seasons in life, moments, when the transitions, the changes, tragedies can leave us feeling abandoned. Whether spoken or unspoken, questions begin to rise. What will I do now? Where will I go? What happens next? Who will love me? I remember years ago, I was visiting a friend at St. Luke's Hospital. She was dying. Her husband and some family were by her side, and her daughter, who was about 12 years old at the time, stood at the doorway, watching. When Donna took her last breath, surrounded by our love and prayers, I looked up at the doorway and I saw Jessie, Donna's daughter, run out of the room. And I ran after her down the hallway, and I caught up to her. Jessie then turned to me and said, "What about me? What about me? What's going to happen to me?" It was an entirely appropriate question. And any one of us who has ever loved and lost a spouse, a child, a friend, security, hope, has asked that question. The day her mother died filled Jessie with fear about what would happen to her. And when you're afraid or feel like no one hears you or suspect that no one is looking out for you, it is hard to be generous and brave and compassionate. And that's exactly where the disciples find themselves during this exchange with Jesus. They began to panic, and feelings of fear and grief over the impending loss of their teacher must have been swirling around them that night. And Jesus tries to assure them that they shouldn't worry. They know the way to where he will be. And their response? "Jesus, actually, we don't know where you're going. How can we know the way?" These are the orphans' questions. These are the questions that were running through the heads and hearts of the disciples that night. What about me? What about us? We don't know where you're going. How on earth can we know the way? And we need to note in this exchange that Jesus does not give an encouraging pep talk for his disciples. He doesn't rally them to function as a tough and smart group of orphans after his death, defying the reality of their great loss. Because the truth is, Jesus tells them that they will not be orphans. They will not, he reassures them, be abandoned. In their journey, while the disciples will see Jesus vanish beyond reach, they will also be met by him in whole new ways. He will speak peace into their lives and show them the way by shining a light for them that they thought had been extinguished. I do not leave you orphans, he tells them. I am coming to you. It would be a mistake, though, to sentimentalize this exchange. The comforter and advocate Jesus promises will not prevent the disciples from meeting challenges along the way, will not fly in to fight off darkness like the Marvel Comics Avengers, but he does promise the Spirit who will lead them in this journey, the Spirit of truth that will lead them into all truth, as Jesus puts it. There is no comfortable settling down right now. Do not let your hearts be troubled, Jesus says. This journey, led by the Spirit of truth, is the journey into an ever-deepening communion with the Father and the Son. It is not simply about moving on, but going deeper and deeper. You will know on that day that I am in the Father, and you in me, and I in you, he says. The disciples will not be left as orphans. Instead, they will share in the very same love which unites Father and Son. They will dwell in this love and make it their home, and this will be their text, their rule of life, their commanding reality, to reflect this love in their life together. The Gospel of John has the boldness to insist that precisely at the heart of darkness, in the midst of horrific and mindless brutality, Jesus reveals the mystery, which is at the heart of the universe, which called forth all things and holds them together. The communion of love between Father and Son, opening up for human beings. And so, by journeying into that heart of darkness, Jesus will take hold of the darkness, will conquer and transform it. And by journeying after him, led by the Spirit of truth, there is ultimately no other truth to be discovered in good times and bad times than the reality of this love, which turns around our orphaned hearts and grafts us onto eternal love. And the promise of Pentecost is that every person of faith can be ignited by the Spirit for a deeper experience of faith and a more powerful expression of living in the Spirit of Christ. And we stand together in a long line of witnesses, all of whom have received this promised advocate, this one whose task is to make Jesus present to us at our every breath, empowering us to participate in the work of God in the world. "3,000 were baptized on that first Pentecost. And the flame of Pentecost still shines bright. We are called to continue passing that flame to enable the Holy Spirit's work among us, around us, and through us, not as orphans, but as God's beloved. And today we stand together along with that long line of witnesses to the baptisms of Galen and Asher as they are received into the household of God and marked as Christ's own forever. May the God of hope fill us with all joy and all peace, believing, so that we may abound in hope by the power of the Holy Spirit. Amen.